So a couple days ago, I sent kind of a ridiculous list of parts that I wanted for the TW to Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and they definitely hooked me up. So huge thanks to you guys for sending all this stuff out. I kind of can't believe it. We've got the Tusk D-Flex handguards, as well as all the bracketry for them. We've got a set of Tusk grips. We've got 30mm 7/8 bar risers. We've got a USB power port, complete with all the wiring that you need. And then we've got the Tusk 7/8 CR mid-rise handlebars. I believe the rise on these are about the same. The big difference though is gonna be the amount of sweep that they have. They're definitely not a straight bar by any means, but they are gonna be a bit straighter and I think a little bit more comfortable for me off-road. The other big difference is gonna be the width of these bars. These are a little bit more kind of a standard size, where the TWs are a little bit thinner. I might end up cutting them down later, but we'll just see how everything mounts up for now. Dinah, what are you doing on my chair? So some of these components, like the throttle perch here, right down by my thumb, is going to have this little nub, and that made it up with some holes that were already pre-drilled into the stock handlebars. Looks like the kill switch was supposed to have one right there. It either got taken off on purpose or busted off. I know some people disagree with this, but I'm just gonna nip those nubs off and not try to drill holes in my new bars. I feel like that gives you a lot more freedom for placement of the bars right now, and then eventually down the road if you decide you want to move them. Whereas if you drill the holes and you decide to move them later, you're gonna have to drill new holes or just end up cutting the nubs off anyways. So we're just gonna skip all that and do it right now. The mosquitoes are coming out now, so let's get some bars on this thing, eh? There we've got the riser itself. I think these do come in a smaller version. This is going to be a little bit more than an inch though. Install extremely easy. Just drop right in on the stock triple tree clamps, like so. So I'm not sure which way I'll end up mounting this. Stock position is like this, but I've seen a couple guys with some big bars and big risers that have mounted it the other way around. And I kind of almost like that a bit more, then I feel like you'll have a bit more freedom. Start by inserting that though. Dropping this on the top of my new risers. Grab my old clamps. So it looks like I don't really have quite enough slack to get this up on top like it used to be. Like I said earlier, no problem. Just gonna spin it around the bottom and it should be fine. So I apologize for the bit of jump scene there, but I've kind of disassembled this a little bit because I'm actually gonna run this through between the brake indicator line here, the wiring, and the brake line itself. Then my electrical wire ends up on top of these lines, and I can more easily zip tie it in the stock location with the kill switch wiring. Hello, Dinah. Dinah, what are you doing? Don't eat my bolts, Dinah. So now before I get too ahead of myself, I've got to remember that I'm putting on the aluminum handguards, which are going to be a wraparound design. So that means that they're going to have to thread into the end of the handlebar here. And that's not going to work so well with this closed end throttle, so I'm going to have to cut this off. I incorrectly assumed this was going to be much softer plastic. Should really have a power tool for this. Pretty sure this is just dangerous and stupid. Don't do this. Figure out a better way. A fresh blade also seems to be much better. So I'm just kind of starting to snug some of this stuff up, and in a bit of a hurry because mosquitoes are definitely out in force now. So I'm going to try to get as much of this put back together as I can and then wheel this into the garage. So next up we've got the grips here, and these are actually really kind of nice. They're super soft and rubbery compared to what I've got on the 10RA700, but yet they still have this kind of grid work on them to really kind of lock into, and then you've got a bit of a smoother, softer part for the palms of your hands, which is kind of cool. Like the end of the throttle tube here, I'm gonna have to cut the ends off of these. So I've got my compressed air here, I've got my throttle side, I'm gonna stick the grid work or waffles, whatever you want to call it, towards the front here where my fingers are gonna be. Just gonna get this started. Basically what I'm doing is blowing air into here, it's expanding the grip so it can escape, and then I'm pushing it on while it's loose. So next up, to protect our little fingers and our clutch and brake lever, we've got the wraparound Tusk.
I'm not sure.
I wasn't asking you. The Tusk wraparound D-Flex handguards. So these are going to be directional. So you want to make sure you get the right side on the right handlebar. And it looks like they actually say Tusk on the inside, which is kind of cool. So that's easy then. We know this one goes over here. So I'm gonna hold the end here and take the bolt out. Put that through the end here and then slide that all back together. Does have a little tooth on either side of it that sticks into these slots here. So you wanna make sure that those are lined up correctly. And then this whole thing just gets slid right into the bar end, like so. And then to tie the other end down, we've got these brackets here. And of course, we gotta dance around all of our wires and cables here, so that's gonna be fun. The one thing you gotta keep in mind is that these are universal, so they're never gonna be a one-size-fits-all. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you gotta kind of juggle stuff around here, and it looks like I'm gonna have to do that. I might actually have to install this bracket upside down. I'll get this figured out and show you what I came up with. All right, so luckily it turns out that I've actually got a lot more slack in the brake fluid line than I thought I did. I was able to pull quite a bit more out of here and then loosen this just a hair and then rotate this whole thing up. Before it was kind of pointed almost downward. Now it's almost kind of touching that little ear on the top of there, which I kind of wonder if that's where it's supposed to be to begin with. Either way though, I should be able to pull some slack out of there so you can make a little bit of room for this here. I've got both of these kind of where I think they're gonna end up anyway. The only issue is we've got a bit of a difference in angle there on both of these, which is actually something that should be super easy to fix if you have a vise. Alright, let's see how we did here. I would say that looks good. I think we're gonna leave that. I'm gonna actually slide that bracket over a bit. So I've got everything lined up about where I want it. I kind of like to try to keep these just about flush with the top of the levers. That way they are doing their job and protecting them. The bolt at the end here and here, I'm just gonna snug up. The other ones I will be pulling out to put blue Loctite on all of them. So I've always been a bit of a bark buster guy. They've kind of just been my favorite. They're sort of expensive, but I feel like they always give you really good protection and are a good solid product. But I've gotta say, these Tusk handguards are really, I think, quickly becoming my favorites. They come with a little reflective strip on them, which is obviously awesome. These are gonna fasten on with not even thread cutting screws, just regular like wood screws, like the bark busters did. They're gonna use actual fasteners that go into threaded holes on the aluminum part of the handguard. It seems like they're gonna provide just about the same amount of coverage, if not a little bit more. That's so much easier than those silly wood screw style ones that you have to try to thread into the aluminum slots on the other ones. So I've finally got everything where I want it and tightened down, and wow, does that look so much better. I don't know what it is about handguards, but they just really make a dual sport look like it's ready to do some dual sport riding and to do some crashing too, I suppose. I really like how all this turned out. I cannot wait to get on this thing. I do have one more thing to install on the handlebars here, and that is the Tusk power port. I think I'm gonna end up mounting this kind of around front like that. So I threw the camera mount on here just to kind of get sort of an idea where my real estate is gonna be. I think this is where I'm gonna leave my plug. It seems like that should work out pretty well. Won't interfere with the tank at all. Should be able to easily run the wires down here, connected to all this cabling. I do have a just little USB style insert in there. They do sell a double wide version of this where there's two USB ports kind of attached to it, but I figured this would be a little bit cleaner, and if I'm gonna plug something in, I think I can probably choose one or the other. If you can't though, there will be a link for that down in the description as well. I did kind of look at just pushing my wires down underneath the tank without removing it, but I think that's probably gonna be more work than just pulling the seat and the tank off, so I'm gonna do that quick. Well, that turned out pretty darn clean, I have to say. So we've got the little fuse block down in here, safely held in place by the battery strap. Then I've just kind of got it ran down through here, next to some of the other wiring, zip tied there, and just kind of ran up underneath some of the factory wiring just through the factory ties here, which are removable and reusable. It just runs under this little breather hose here, up underneath the triple tree, and then just pops out right here, just kind of amongst the rest of the wiring. This is still kind of loose in here, but as you can see, I had plenty of room to mount it, so I think that turned out pretty darn well. Could not ask for a cleaner install for that, and I really do like how compact and everything that is. So I'm going to get this all put back together. I will get the GPS mounted up, and we'll take this thing out for a ride. So, to sum up how all of this stuff is working out for me, I guess I think I could just use one word, and that is absolutely awesome. That's 2 words, I guess, isn't it? But that is definitely how I feel about it. I mean, this stuff just really puts me in a much more confident riding position. Feel much more comfortable here off-road. I don't think I'm sacrificing really anything at all. I do have to say, I think when I'm standing up, just because of the way that these risers are set up, kind of stick the bars a little bit closer to me, obviously because the stock risers come up at an angle. So I like the rise that they give me. I feel like the bars are in the right spot for me now. I'm a little hunched over, but I mean, you want to be in the attack position a little bit. I really like that they have less sweep back on them. That really kind of got annoying on the stock bars. I'm much happier with where these are at. If you're gonna do mostly on-road riding and you're gonna be doing a lot of sitting, then a bar with more sweep can be more comfortable. If you're gonna do a lot of off-roading, a lot of standing, you want a straighter bar, and I think these are honestly probably a perfect combination of both of those. I don't think I'm really any less comfortable on the road at all. I don't know why I went this way. Ooh. And they certainly feel a lot better. Whoa, a lot better off-road. And maybe some of that was just in my head. I mean, you can ride the bike how it was. That's not really a problem, but they feel a lot better, and they feel like they're in the right spot. The grips are way more comfortable than the last set that I had on here was. Obviously, they were a bit worn out, so these are a little bit more squishy, but they're also quite a bit more sticky, a little more forgiving too, I think it seems like, and I'm really liking how those feel. It's all very inexpensive, and I think that's really kind of what you can expect from Tusk. They're always very reasonably priced and surprisingly good quality with everything that I've used anyways. Let me know if you guys have had a different experience. It seems like anybody that I've seen that has not had that experience has gotten more than sufficient customer service, and it seems like they really do take good care of their customers. How about some single track? Woo! I have not, oh, this isn't single track, I missed it. I have not put the handguards to the test yet, but from my experience and kind of messing around with them, like I said earlier, these are definitely a very top-notch set of handguards that I'm super happy with. And I don't foresee myself ever going with a different brand again unless I have issues in the future with these, which I do not anticipate. Of course, if you guys want to follow along and see if I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I put a video out at least once a week. What else? My little charge port down there, which I'm really happy with where I ended up putting that. That doesn't really get in the way of anything and is really in a good spot to hook up my massive 6-inch GPS here. And if you guys are interested in that, it is just an automotive GPS that I picked up for 40 bucks and put some, where am I going here? Oh, the single track, how about that? There's an arrow going that way, so hopefully we're doing something right here. Ooh, look at this. That's cool. What was I saying? I don't remember. Oh yeah, it's got the VV maps on it, which is a pretty slick setup if you're in Wisconsin or any of the states to the east or west of it. And that really fits in the bars quite well. I've got a bracket that I probably can't show you. I don't know. I'll put a video that down in the description that shows how I mount my GPS, sort of a weird way, but it definitely works. Yeah, it all feels really good. It all, I think, really looks good. Big thanks to Rocky Mountain ATV MC for sending this stuff out. Look at these trails. This is super neat. I'm gonna wish I was in first. Oh, I wish I would have got that shift. This is gonna be fun. Woo! So I think that's about all I've got for you. If you guys have any comments or questions on this stuff, feel free to leave them down in the comment box below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm lost. Other than that, guys, take care, stay safe, stay swanky, and hey, if you want to see more videos from me every weekend, then make sure you click the subscribe button, click the bell after you subscribe, so it lets you know anytime I put a video out. Other than that, make sure you get out yourself, enjoy this beautiful world. Woo! But hey, if you can't, check out some more videos from me right now. Woo! What the heck was that? I think the stick shifted for me. That was really strange.